master plan for Stables Village was approved in April of last year. And less than 5 months later, we were breaking ground on our first building, going vertical. And since then, we've put in 7 foundations. We just started framing our 4th building today. Saw the guys out there snapping lines. We hope to have our first closing at the end of July. And from then on, we will hopefully be closing one house a week, basically. It might be 1.5 weeks, but from then through the winter. And we will be completing the project hopefully at the end of next year. So December of 2025 is our goal. It may be January, February, close your ears, of 2026, but somewhere in that range. Oh, I don't have my glasses. I can't read a thing here. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Are you guys?
I would say for Spanish speaking folks, there are copies of this PowerPoint in Spanish, hard copy. The table there, and that's the good one. Yeah, then you can follow through the PowerPoint. It's been translated.
So we're working with a company called Thrive Builders who's building the project. But I'm super proud to say every subcontractor to date has been from either Breckenridge or Summit County, and mostly Breckenridge. We have guys walking across the street who are framing the building, and the lead framers from the Wellington neighborhood. The lead supervisor lives in Lincoln Park. So I'm pretty thrilled to say that we are using local subs to build this project. That's something that's really bothered me in the past, and I think with me at the helm, I was like, we are using local subs, so which is pretty exciting. So kind of keeping the money in the community. We've got in the subdivision, we have 5 single-family homes, 38 duplexes, and 18 triplex units. But right today, we're just talking about phase 1B, which is actually the second phase of a 4-phase project. So phase 1B, we'll talk about that in a second, but it's about a quarter of the number of units in the whole subdivision. So the homes are going to be net zero, all electric, solar powered. We've got huge windows, and I was just out there today and I was like, I have never seen a workforce housing project that has windows like this, doors like this. We've got doors out of lower bedrooms. I mean, it's incredible. And if your realtor wants to walk you through them, I'm sure you can set that up. We've got some of the duplexes framed and the single family framed, and it's really spectacular. The views are spectacular. It's a pretty stunning project. So regarding pricing, I'm gonna have the town's talking to you about that. That's not my deal, but we are gonna be between 80% and 140% of AMI. The lottery is a part of this process, unfortunately. I wish everyone could get a home. And homes are going to range in price from the high 300s to the low 800s. So hopefully it's a nice wide price range, which is good. Can we switch to the next one? Oh no, you want to go back? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that one. We're taking a look at phase 1B tonight. So in this phase, we have 2 single family units that are 4 bedrooms, 6 duplex units that are 3 bedrooms, 2 duplex units that are 2 bedrooms, 4 triplex units that are 2 bedrooms, and 8 triplex units that are 3 bedrooms. And then this just shows the location of the units on the site. And so our phase 1B is in between these big red lines here in the center. So, you know, the blue units are triplexes, these yellow units are duplexes, well, actually, yeah, why is that not green? Oh, yeah, green, 2 green units are, single family. And so just so you have an understanding, the units that are framed out there are these 3. They just started framing across the street, and then you'll see them starting to frame these very shortly. Those are in phase 1A. Huh? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Thank you. So this is just sort of a rendering video that we did of the interiors of the unit. This is actually single family. Pretty nice, and you can see the windows. I was talking about, the kitchens are way bigger than what you typically see in workforce housing. The square footage is bigger than anything we've done in the town of Breck for workforce housing to date. Kind of fun. We've got decks and patios off every unit. Some of them have more than one, but at least one deck and one patio off of every unit. Regarding you can just kind of skip that to. So this is the single family. So on the single family, we have 2 bedrooms down, 2 bedrooms up. We have 3 full bathrooms. It's got a 2-car garage and a gear storage. And this was something that the town council really wanted, was gear storage for bikes, kayaks, etc. Which is something that, you know, other subdivisions haven't done in the past. So pretty nice, single family with 2 cars and a gear storage. Then the next one is, I think, the duplex. And there we've got, on these units, these particular units, we've got a 1-car garage. There are some duplex units in further phases that have a 2-car garage, but right now, in this phase, it's 1-car garages because of the way it lays out on the site. But again, we've got the gear storage. We've got 2 bedrooms down, 1 bedroom up, and 2.5 baths for those duplex units. The 3-bedroom duplex units. And then this last set of floor plans, and you can see we've got floor plans over here, and you can see every unit type there if we're not showing you every one here. But on the triplex, this is a 3-bedroom triplex, so we've got 2 bedrooms down. We've got the 1-car garage again with gear storage, and then 1 bedroom up. So thanks again for coming out tonight, and I really appreciate everybody here. And I'll be around. You can ask me questions about the architecture or development or anything like that, or construction. I think the town's going to talk to you about numbers and pricing. Not my thing. Thank you.
So before we get started with all things lottery related, which is why you guys are here, we do want to dig into a little bit of the structure of the deal. As Lori said, why is the town here? And we're here because basically the way this worked is we had the land that was called the Stilson parcel, which is what is now Staples, and we had owned that. So we put that land in the deal, and we provided the land, the infrastructure, and subsidies for each unit to ensure that they stay affordable for the local community, as well as a subsidy for all units to get solar panels in order to keep the affordability on the units and keep everyone's energy bills low. We also put that deed restriction in place and are actively working with the SCHA and their newest executive director, Corey Burr. So they will be running the lottery for this and qualifying all of the buyers. And then as Suzanne touched on, her team as the developer is all things building, all things selling, finishes, schedule, all that good stuff. So in terms of questions, I just kind of wanted everyone to understand who to reach out to with any questions you have. And again, the town of Breck, our housing team, which consists of myself, Lori, Corey, Darcy, Kelsey, and Matt back there, are super dedicated to workforce housing and ensuring that we can have all different types of units, whether that's for sale, rentals. We just wrapped up the leasing of a 52 unit rental property called the Larkspur, sorry. And then we have Vista Verde, which many of you might have heard Alta Verde too. We recently had a name change. So that's going to be Vista Verde, which is going to be another 172 units. Again, that's rentals that'll start this late fall. And from there, we're going to dig into the lottery. So the big things, all of this is online, and all of this is being recorded, will be posted for anyone to go back and look. So I just want to kind of hit the big things on the lottery. It's open right now, and the main things you're going to need is you're going to need a pre-qualification letter from a lender. You're going to need an employer verification note or a redacted pay stub. So we don't need to necessarily know what you make or anything like that. We just need to know your name, how many hours a week you work, and who your employer is. And then in terms of the lottery, there's the option to get a total of 3 tickets in the lottery. 1 ticket for entering and qualifying, another ticket if your job is based in the Upper Blue Basin, and then a 3rd lottery ticket if you've lived in Summit County for at least 10 years. And then another thing to note is that if you did enter in phase 1A, you will have to re-enter. Every lottery is run independently, but you will not have to pay that $50 again. So again, if you enter in this phase and then you don't get it and you want to go into 2A, you'll have to re-enter, but you will not pay that again. So we're going to walk you through how to apply to the lottery.
This is the Stables Village Phase 1B lottery application. To access the application, you can go to townofbreckhousing.com. The link to the application is right here on the front page. Also, if you have been part of our contact list, you would have received an email with the link to this application as well. This is the first page of the application. As you can see from the top, the application has 4 pages. It's not very long, but you do need to have all of your ducks in a row and all of your information collected before you begin an application. We recommend that you go through the entire application. You do not need to have information completed to review the application. Here we are on page 2. You can go through and see what you're going to need. You're going to need names, addresses, emails, phone numbers. So make sure that you have those all collected for yourself and your employer so you can complete the application. You are not able to begin the application and then save information in it and then come back. So you have to have the application completed, all of your documentations before you submit. On this first page, let's go over some of the deadlines and dates. First, the application deadline is Thursday, March 28th at 11:59 p.m. So that does allow you the entire day of March 28th to complete the application. A second date I'd like to point out is that the actual lottery will be held on April 4th. So by after April 4th, you will receive notification where you were in the lottery and if you will be one of the people selected to purchase. This also explains that you have additional opportunities to have extra entries into the lottery. If you must already be a full-time worker in Summit County. However, if you are a worker in the Upper Blue Basin or the Breckenridge area, you are eligible for an extra lottery entry. Also, if you have lived or worked in Summit County for 10 or more years, you are also eligible for an extra lottery entry. With this application, you are going to need a pre-qualification letter from your mortgage lender. That will take several days to complete, so please make sure you have that available and in an electronic form available to you when you are working on this application. you will need to upload that pre-qualification letter to this application. Also, there is a $50 fee for the application. So again, this will be included with the application when you submit it. So please make sure you have those funds available when you complete the application. While the application is not very complicated or long, we do recommend that you review the entire application, which you can do. You can just click through to the next button, and you can see all of the information you're going to need to have with you when you complete it. So you'll need names, phone numbers, addresses, and other information. So we'll go through some of that information you'll need, but we highly recommend that you go through the entire application, all of the documents, and review what you're gonna need before you begin the application. So here on this first page, there are a couple of, when you complete the application, you'll need to complete this entire first page, you'll need to read through it all, and then there's a couple of links of information that you'll need to review. This first link are the rules and regulations. On this document, you'll find the units that are available, employment qualifications, the lottery process, what happens after the lottery, as well as if you own other property and how that's handled. So this also talks about deposits, all the information you're gonna need. So be sure and read that. And then finally, once you've reviewed the entire application, if you have any questions or are confused about anything, on this first page is where you'll find an email, tobhousing@townofbreckenridge.com, and the phone number. And that's who you can contact if you have any questions at all about completing the application. Also, if you have a disability that does not allow you to complete the application in this format, please also contact, and we are happy to accommodate your disability. So again, first page, you're going to read through the links. The second link I forgot to show you is the deed restriction documentation. So this will show you exactly what the property that comes under with the deed restriction. So it's good to have that information before you, so you know what you're doing too. So back to the application, you're going to read through that. You're going to read through the rules and regulations, review the deed restrictions. Then to complete this first page, you click yes, and you sign in the box using your mouse or your finger. Now we're in page 2. Page 2 is your contact information. So the names of the applicant, who will be living in the household, current address, current living situation, and current contact information, email address, phone number. We'd also like to know the current household size, if you're a first-time home buyer, and if you own any other property. Again, how that applies to you is spelled out in those rules and regulations on page 1. Also here is where you're going to upload your pre-qualification letter. So you'll click on that and attach the electronic copy of that letter. Then you continue next to page 3. Page 3 is your employment information. Again, as I mentioned, you can receive an additional entry to the lottery if you are employed by a business located in the Upper Blue Basin or Breckenridge area. Here's a map that will show you what that area entails. Your employer will also be able to tell you whether or not they are in this area. So you'll need your employer's information, phone number, and business email and address. The last item here is that if you are not a W-2 employee, meaning that you receive a W-2 showing your annual earnings for tax purposes, you will click here and you will need to provide your employment and income information at the time if you're selected for the lottery. So you'll need to provide that documentation down the road. Also, if you are a W-2 employee, you will also provide that information. So that's all for page 3. Moving on to the final page. The final page is affidavits. So this is where, again, we talked about you can have an additional entry to the lottery if you have lived or worked in Summit County for more than 10 years or more. Here, you're just saying whether you have or not. Again, documentation up for this will be provided at a later time if you were selected for the lottery. This last affirmation is for you to specify that the information you have provided is true to your knowledge. It is unlawful to provide incorrect or false information, knowingly incorrect or false information. This also acknowledges that you're aware that if you were to do that, you may not be eligible for future workforce housing opportunities. So here you're going to agree and sign. This is where if you had applied for the first Staples lottery for the first phase, if you have applied for that, a couple of items will apply to you. First of all, if you pay that application fee for the first lottery, you only have to pay it once. You will not pay again to enter the second lottery. Also, if your pre-qualification letter that you had for the first lottery, if that is still valid, you can again use that same pre-qualification letter. However, you do need to upload it into this current application. So you still need a copy of that. Once you have everything collected on this page, you will submit. You'll be redirected to the payment screen, and then your application is complete. Again, if you have any questions or need assistance, that contact information is here, tobhousing@townofbreckenridge.com or 970-547-3107. Thank you for your attention and good luck with your application. This is the stable.
And now I'm gonna kick it over to Lori Best to talk a little bit more about the deed restriction.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this pretty quick because I think most of you probably have some familiarity with deed restrictions, but the town is investing pretty significantly in this project. It's costing a lot more to build these units than we are going to generate in sales revenue. The town's role is to try to provide that gap funding. And in return, the units do need to be deed restricted. This is public investment in a property. We want to make sure these units serve our local workforce, not only for you all as the initial purchasers, but when you sell them, they continue to serve our local workforce. So, I mean, the key element, probably the most important element of all the deed restrictions is that you have to be working in Summit County at least 30 hours a week on average to qualify under the employment requirement. And at least one person in the household has to be working. Obviously, you might have a situation where a spouse doesn't work or kids don't work, but at least one person that's on that deed needs to be working 30 hours a week on average. That's the most important restriction. There are income caps, but only for the townhome units. The townhome units are significantly and very affordable based on comps in Breckenridge. So the cost of those, we do need to make sure that those units are being occupied by the households that really need that lower priced unit. So we do have an income cap on the townhome units, but it's a pretty generous income cap. We have some flexibility there to how we calculate the income cap. But basically, for a 2-bedroom unit, it's going to be around $139,000 a year income for that household. For a 3-bedroom unit, it's going to be around $161,000 for that household. There's some situations where we might even be able to go a little bit higher if you have a larger household size than you would typically see in those units. But it's important to know that there is an income cap for the townhomes only. Also for the only, there is a restriction against owning other real estate in Summit County. If you own a house in Summit County already, then you're not eligible to buy the significantly discounted townhome units and also own that unit. So those are the sort of deed restriction pieces that are unique to the townhomes.
So it says the 140% on that slide, it says the 140%, but for the townhomes, it's. a
Yeah,
little less.
Well, you're pricing that, we're pricing the townhomes to be affordable, actually at a much lower income. We're pricing them to be affordable from 80% AMI to 110% AMI, but we're income capping them way up at 140% just to give a good buffer, because sometimes people are price capped out of units if you set the income cap right where you set the level of the pricing. So it's our way to make sure that we have a decent buffer, that you're getting a well-priced unit, and you're not going to be cost burdened because you make just that right amount of money for that particular unit. So it's a way that we provide a buffer there. Thanks, Suzanne. For the duplexes and townhomes, you can own one other property in Summit County. This is a missing middle project. These typically are not going to be first-time home buyers for the duplexes and the single-family homes. These may be people that are already in our community, and in fact have been in our community for a while and just need a bigger house to accommodate their family as it's growing and as they've been in the community. So for the duplexes and the single-family homes, we felt it was appropriate that you could own another residential unit and you would not be disqualified from buying the single family or the duplex. There's also an appreciation cap, as you see on most of our deed restricted neighborhoods for the single families and the duplexes. It's 3% a year. That's a pretty healthy appreciation when you think about the price of these units to begin with. And but we do need to cap it so that these units remain somewhat affordable over time as you all live in them and then sell them. So the appreciation cap ensures that the next family moving in will also have an opportunity for something that's somewhat affordable. Retirement comes up a lot on the missing middle projects. We do have a policy where, if you buy one of these units, you occupy the unit for 7 years and you're 65 years old, you can retire and not have to meet that employment requirement that would normally be required for a deed restricted unit. So it's a pretty basic deed restriction, but we think this is kind of a unique product in terms of there aren't very many, like Suzanne said, places where you will find deed restricted neighborhoods, of this design and carbon neutral and net zero, and spacious and large. But the town specifically wanted to make sure that we have housing that serves that particular demographic. We do a variety of housing. We do from very low income rentals all the way up to this missing middle project. So it's super important to have a diversity of housing inventory to serve our workforce, because our workforce is very diverse. So hopefully we would love to see all of you get picked low in the lottery and have an option to go to contract on one of these units. And we have a few people that have already submitted their application for the lottery. I don't want to scare you off, but you do want to get in there and get your application completed well before the deadline, just in case something comes up. You want to, also make sure you are ready to buy, because this is a big commitment. We run a lot of lotteries on our rentals and on our apartment projects, but this is an ownership and you're buying real estate, and you need to make sure that you are ready to commit to a mortgage and understand what all of that means. The Summit Combined Housing Authority has a great page on their website, and this entire PDF is on our website, so you can go through. We know you can't read all of this, but you'll be able to go on the website and read in depth as much as you'd like to read. But I would also refer you to the Summit Combined Housing Authority, because they have a great page on sort of what do you have to do, you know? Obviously, you want to be talking to a lender. You want to probably be avoiding other major expenditures right now as you're preparing to get a mortgage. And you can find out about down payment assistance if any of that might be available to you. But I think and Corey here again is with the Housing Authority, so she can help you a little bit as you think about how do we get ready to buy. Suzanne is here and can talk to you about the plans, the designs. And then the whole housing division group is here, so reach out and let us know if you have questions. We really want to make this lottery process as simple as possible and see a lot of you in your new homes out there in a few months, right? So thank you for coming this evening. I think that's all we had. Please reach out and talk to people if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Do you have a quick